Hey everybody, welcome to another stream. I just noticed my lights are off over here. Let me turn those back on. We're back to another stream for Unreal for CG Spectrum and Realtime. So we gotta cover a few new things today that we've been missing since it's been a couple weeks since we did our last stream. And we got Dave here. Hey, thanks Dave for showing up. Long time no see indeed. Oh, and we also have new pretzel rocks. She's now telling us what music is playing, which is quite interesting. I didn't expect her to do that. We actually did pay for pretzel rocks, so we are now officially helping them out. Apparently 70% of the money that goes to it goes to the artists, which is kind of cool. But I didn't expect it to post the music, so I'm gonna have to take a look at how that works. Oh, here it is. Little checkbox. Turn it off. So, what we got to do, what the plan is to do today is to cover some of the stuff that I learned about a few weeks back now with the new, as part of the training partner with Unreal and Epic, is we get to enter some of these meetings that talk about some of the educational stuff that they're trying to provide. And one of them was crossfading cinematics, which has never really been something you can do with real-time engines and games and stuff up until as of very recently, but usually it's a very expensive process to do. So the fact that you can do it now is pretty interesting. However, it's not exactly going to be super simple, and I don't know if it's going to be practical, because who knows? I haven't actually looked at how it works yet. But anyway, we have a test sample that we can play with that was given to us by the Epic. So Cersato is said, hello, studying material making while watching the live stream. Hey, all right. Oh, welcome. Excellent that you're studying material making, man. There is a never-ending road of learning. So yeah, I mean, technically, this is the I don't know what they call it, the presentation slides that they had for the update that we had from Unreal, and they started talking about content that's specifically for virtual production, but it just kind of goes into all the different content that they're creating for what they offer the different accredited or the different schools that are associated with them. So he was going through the presentation. This happened like 3 weeks ago now because I missed the last 2 weeks. He's going through the presentation, and then he hit this slide. And we're all like, whoa, okay, what's going on here? And he went through the whole thing, one by one, and then like, and then it was over. He didn't show us anything, didn't do anything. So I'm like, it's just half the trouble was trying to digest what was going on there and figure out what the heck we can talk about. But there are samples that we can download for each of these scenes and take a look at them. Right now I've got this middle one here, which is the crossfading one, which we'll take a look at right now. And then there was some other information about new materials, which might be interesting to Sir Seitohi over here. Specifically about how subsurface scattering type of advancements and techniques, and he was doing some cross comparison between different types of techniques to show the pros and cons between all of them. He didn't get into very much detail. I wish he was opening up these projects and looking at them more closely, but all we've got is these screenshots and the test projects you can open up and look through. So anyway, that was it. That was what we got. So it's kind of funny when he presented all this, the first question that came up afterwards was, does this like fit into like a scheme for an education curriculum? And they're like, no, I don't know. Like, you guys just, here's your content, work with it, make whatever you want. We're all like, oh, okay. But some of this stuff is difficult to really digest in terms of where does it fit in a learning curve, and does it even make sense in a learning curve? Or is it just sort of an extra feature that you can do with Epic or with Unreal that you just never knew you could do? And I don't know, it depends on what your focus is. So let's jump over to what the actual project looks like now that I got it open here. Crusader, cool, I am using Substance Designer now. Oh, okay, so you're working in Substance Designer. But after my study, I'll check it out. Well, you definitely have, you know, you're in a good place for learning Substance Designer and figuring out how to make sure that those tools work. And then all those skills that you use from that cater very well into what you can do with Unreal. And then there is the plugin that also communicates and connects the logic between the two softwares as well. But it's a long road to be it's basically a tech artist, right? You're wiring together all your logic of how you want the materials to work. And as we've seen with lots of artists, you can do some amazing things with just Substance Designer. But that's not really my world, so I don't really know that area that well. In fact, I don't think I even know Substance Designer hardly at all. So it's been one of those tools that I'd be like, it's not really my job. I'm more of a technical animator. I focus on these other sides and cinematography and cinematics and stuff. There's supposed to be a cinematic in here, although I think, now that I just look at it, I don't know if I grabbed the right map or not. I'm not sure if they have the cinematic. Well, actually, let me see here. I know it works. I have looked at it before. Just to remember where exactly they decided to put the cinematic all of a sudden. That's where the references. Oh, maybe they're in the sequences. Here they are. Okay. We got two of them. Sequence with live linking, vehicle performance. Alright, so these are two different projects for what we're trying to do. Here's the camera transition one that we want to do. And this whole project has a car asset that has the ability to use it for driving, so I think that's just part of the whole, like there's a whole driving project template that you can start with. So, but there's our crossfade right there. Goes from one shot to the next, and we have to somehow figure out how that works. I think if I actually played this scene, I wonder what happens if I play it. Definitely have that car asset just sitting there for no apparent reason. Yeah, it's not really designed to trigger that cinematic. There is quite a lot of sound effects though. Shiseido says Substance Designer is really difficult to learn, but I really commend everybody to try Painter. This is really easy to use, and with 1 week you get used to it. At any rate, Painter is a whole different ballgame compared to Designer, because you're not really worrying about all that complicated tech stuff. You're just being an artist, doing your art thing. We do cover Substance Painter in our first term of our modeling, intro to modeling, so we get into it right away, and it's pretty important. However, we are having problems because the software has changed its interface rapidly in the last couple of years even. And so every time we do an update, it's like they update their interface, and then all the students are like, what, this is so old. And it's like, well, it's not really old, it's just that the software is changing like super fast. So we're actively updating that the video series again to try and catch up with what has just changed in the last 6 months with Substance Painter, specifically with the whole UDIM tile system, which we were usually doing in Maya and then bringing it over, but now you can do the whole setup inside of Substance Painter now. Okay, so I don't see anything in the, I'm just remembering where I am here. Level blueprints, I don't see anything in here, so I don't know if there was anything hooked up, but I'm not really sure where this car is from. I think it's the car from the second shot, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know what the deal is there. Oh, maybe not, because that wouldn't necessarily be same scene. Anyways, so one thing that we did get also, which is the part that's going to make you go, why are we doing this? Is there's a document that explains how to do it. Let's see here if I can find this document. I just had it open a minute ago here. So a step-by-step, and this is what they provided me. They said, oh, and here's a step-by-step guide of how we did the crossfading. And I'm like, oh, great. I will get right on that. So we're gonna try and go through this and see if we can at least figure it out, play with it, maybe even try to build our own crossfade, figure out what we can do there. It's gonna be a slow process, but what is good about understanding this is to know if it's actually feasible for trying to produce crossfades for any other shots. It is a common request and requirement for doing any kind of compositing is to try to do a crossfade. It's a really nice way to like time lapse and sort of get the illusion that things are happening over time. So, but you normally can't do it. You'd have to do 2 shots, render them out, and then go in a post-processing software and then do your overlap, which is a little bit more tricky if you've got audio synced and everything. So, but I don't know, I think we're having some technical difficulties with that particular crossfade. We're having that car stuck in the middle there, and I haven't actually figured out how to play it yet. So, I mean, I guess in theory I should just be able to set it up, right? Let's just see if we can do that. I don't really know why. Let's close sequencer before I play again. Yeah, okay, so this is the part I remember. So you can actually drive the car around if you didn't have sequencer open. I guess sequencer was kind of stopping me from doing it. And they have all the game logic of how to drive cars and move the wheels and stuff, which is, I'm pretty sure, just part of the templates that they offer. I haven't actually taken a look at the advanced vehicle template yet. But let's go to our level blueprint and add this cinematic in there. So schemes, begin, play, and play, maybe create sequence, create level sequence player. And we'll grab the, which one was it? Sequence 205 film. Wow, there's tons of them. Sequence 205 film, and then we'll break this apart. Set it to autoplay. Let's see if this works. Beautiful transition, seamless, absolutely no visual defects or anything. Let's do play a standalone and see what happens there. I was being a little sarcastic because it was totally choppy and buggy and didn't look very smooth at all. He did talk about in the meeting that that the vegetation was causing a glitch, so it isn't necessarily going to be perfect. I played as a standalone, but it's moved over to the other screen here. Oh, Sarah's here. Hey, welcome, Sarah. I'm doing pretty good. Shoot, except for I gotta get this thing to show over here. There we go. It's not working that smoothly because it's got a short loop. Let's see if we can get it to loop here. Yes, your question was, is that the Australian rural environment? You bet it is. Oh, and Dave's got to go. All right, man. Thanks for joining for a bit there. Take care, man. This Australian environment has become very popular lately. I keep seeing it being used in lots of different examples, particularly from Epic, but I think it's just kind of a nice change of pace from the rock canyon walls that we've been seeing so often. Even though this asset was created well before that. What am I trying to do? Open level blueprint again. Let's turn on loop -1. I think that's the way to do it. Let's see what happens here. Oh, hit play. Oh, it worked. That was the right idea. Alright, let's try this again. Sarah says hi, bye, Dave. Jacinto, every time I see this environment, I keep thinking of the first Mad Max. Oh, yeah. That's true. Alright, so there's a big glitch there as it switched between the crossfade. Let's see if it happens again on the second time around. Oh, let's see if we can actually get it to play the second time around. Wow, my loop idea was not working. Failed miserably. Did I forget to save my level or something, or what happened there? Alright, let's do 5 loops. Try it again. Did crash too, actually. Ebon Fear. Is hard to not think about Mad Max since you mentioned it. You ruined it for everybody. Now everybody can't stop thinking about Mad Max. I used some of the Aussie assets for my game demo, but I will be making the assets from scratch. Oh, okay, right. We'll eventually be replacing them with new ones. Wow, so that my looping concept is terrible. It's not working at all. I'm not sure if that's because the cinematic itself is not doing very well for looping or what. Let's go take a look at it again. Not that long of a sequence. Maybe it's got something to do with this crazy complicated thing that we've got with however they did this crossfade. That was a huge glitch though, right when we get to that transition. Like, it works great here, but as soon as you try to do it in like a playing real-time thing, it's like giant hitch. Like, you'd have to, I don't know, preload it or something. I'm not sure how you would get around that. Since I haven't had a PC to work with. Oh, are you still out of PC? I am thinking about hand painting the textures for plants and things in watercolor for scanning them. Wow. Maybe that'll work. I don't know. Does anyone know if that's been done before? It's been done before if you go way back to the 90s. And you start looking at the pixel art and the way they did like models and stuff. They would use real physical sculptures and then just photo scan them, or photogrammetry almost. Just pick the different perspectives and use those, and then they would turn into like sort of pixel art. But that's not really what you're talking about. I think you might have a bit of problems with that, actually, because you're going to lose all that nice subtlety of what makes that simple watercolor look. It's going to feel more like it's piece of it's going to have that paper grain and everything, which is not going to be the paper grain you want. It's going to be like a scanned picture of paper grain instead of an actual physical paper grain in 3D. I feel like you're going to have not quite the effect you want. Yeah, do a test for sure. I think that's the best way to approach it. And see if there's ways that you can manipulate it so that you get the effect that you want. You just might find out by the end of it that you're like, well, it's easier to just do it with a filter than it is to try and paint it and scan it. I mean, unless it was like an animation or something, then maybe you might have an interesting effect where you have that stop motion kind of look to it. But that's not what you're talking about. Alright, let's see if we can get some briefing details here and see how this works here. View tools can be pretty close to approximation using level sequence casino cameras. Materials. Rusito, yes, you can do it. It would be harder, but possible. I don't question quality by software anymore. Since I saw the ultra-realistic Microsoft Paint painting. There's an ultra-realistic Microsoft Paint painting? I'm curious. Anything's possible. I'm sure there's a really good one out there, and that's probably not it. The only limit is your imagination, someone said. Well, I think we're talking more about technical limitation than anything else. Because you're dealing with a 3D asset and you're using 2D materials to make it with, so you have to somehow build that illusion on a 3D surface. Creating a level sequence called cross grade 1. Let's do this. Let's make our own. See what happens here. Make a new folder. Oh, I found out all these cool hotkeys that I'm supposed to be using for like new folder, but I don't remember what new folder is anymore. So that was really useless. But there's one for like getting to, locating stuff in the browser. I think it's Control B. I'm gonna try that one later if I can remember. Stream version or stream crossfade. Alright, so we make a new level sequence. What was he calling it? Crossfade shot 1. Alright. And now let's start and build a new cine camera. Call this, oh, is that inside of here, I assume? Got a new camera called Fade Camera Viewer. Fade Cam Viewer. Vegito says there was a speed painting video about the Santa Claus art. It's really cool. Oh yeah. Ah, that'd be kind of neat to see somebody actually do it through speed paint. See what their tricks are to make it work. I mean, it's basically pixel art on a large scale. Fear says, well, in the 90s, the resources for special effects in the movies were really well worked, taking the genius from people working on it. Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of back and forth between physical and digital. More so before than now. You'd have to find to see who's had experience with watercolors. Watercolor paints. Sarah, what's your plan for getting your computer fixed? Is that on a got a plan for that? Hey, Darcy. Maybe best the simulated brushstrokes. So you can have an alpha channel ghosting, blurring at the edges. Ooh, that'd be cool. If you could, like, paint the leaves. Like, they would show up as paintings. That would be really neat looking. Waiting for some money. Hopefully have money for it in the next few weeks. Right. Well, that's gonna be a problem, I suppose, trying to get money for hardware so you can get your computer back in. Yeah, there's a lot of techniques when you start talking about it and thinking about it. I mean, especially if you start looking at what, like, the VR, there's a lot of interesting VR brushstrokes techniques and stuff, and the things they may have explored to be able to emulate that effect. Not that you can just look at it and go, oh, that's how you do it. You'd have to reverse engineer how exactly that would work, but there might be some cool ideas. Again, it doesn't really solve the problem because you're like, how do I do it so I can work on it now before my computer's fixed? Which is like, just use some expensive VR equipment and preview how it works. Sarah says, I did think about simulating oil paintings for my game, but I have no oil painted. But I am no oil painted. So it would have to be done digitally. Oh, you have no oil paint. I'm thinking about having an option to draw the plants and animals you find in the game. Wow. No oil painter. But I am no oil painter. Okay. So, wait, you draw the plants and animals? Or is that like a mini game? Because, like, you've gone down a road of extreme proceduralness. Just draw the plants, and then they will be plants. Which is a whole different battle. We got camera track, fade cam viewer. Oh, I got that already. This will serve as a camera that we bind our camera cuts track in the crossfade. This will serve as the camera we bind our camera cuts track in the crossfade shot. If you select fade cam viewer from the outliner, you can see it only has components in the details panel. Why is he telling me this? Ugh. I want to read it, but I don't want to use up all my screen space. I can't really seem to do both. How do I just get this to be like a single thing? I guess I could download it maybe. How do I download it? Jeez, I can't figure out how to do anything here. Anyways, details. Not sure why he's directing me towards details though. Select the fade camera viewer. Camera outliner. You'll see that it only has a few components in the details panel. Why is that? Oh, in the outliner. Fade cam viewer. Okay. Sure it does. We need to add more components to this camera. Oh, okay. Click on the add component button in the add. Oh, the components section over here. This is the component section. Oh, you know what? I'm using a map that already exists that has all these things. So he didn't really refer to that. So let's create a new map here. Or we gotta somehow clean this up. Sorry, let me just catch up here. It'd be the option to log plants by drawing them in the journal. Oh, you're drawing them in the journal. Okay, that makes more sense. So you could play with a pen and tablet. Oh yeah, alright, I get it. Evan Fears says that's an interesting concept for a game. Cheers with thanks. Thought it was the other day. Thought of it the other day. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of... Especially if you like... Yeah, it gives you ownership of the object that you've got. It sounds cool. And then the player can decide whether they want to spend a lot of time or not with it. And if somehow you were able to like... Oh gosh, here I go again. Yeah, I know. I was like, and then what? And then you get like AI to recognize it and see if you can identify that it's the right object. And then if it is, then you accept the mission and you completed the mission. If not, then it's still waiting. Then you just gotta like, you know, shoehorn some or some AI API into the game project. It'll be easy. Nothing's hard there at all. Is there another level in here? How many levels do we have? Oh, we have landscape. All right, so we can do landscape. Let's just try that. So make a new level. Empty level. Let's not save this one. Save this in our crossfade stream called stream map, and we're gonna load up that level. Add an existing level. Course maps, landscape. There we go. Now all we're missing is the sky and stuff. Sarah, when you get your PC, there are some awesome tutorials for making stylized textures in Blender. Like Ghibli stylized textures. That's cool. Except for then you gotta get it from Blender into Unreal. Which I guess you could bake it as a texture. Unless it's using some kind of like filter, fancy filter that uses the normals of the mesh to identify what colors to present, then you kind of run into a problem trying to get that converted. Hey Riz, welcome. There says if you choose not to do the drawing yourself, you'd choose auto draw. Oh, I see. Is that a little symbol above auto? You should just put like a little trademark next to it. Blender scares me. I haven't used it for about 7 years, and that was just a tutorial. Well, 7 years ago Blender was a lot different than today's Blender. And I'm sure someone else is already writing that as we speak. They're like, oh, wait till you see the new Blender. I haven't actually used Blender for like 7 years too, so I'm not any better. So we got the landscape. Now I gotta make that, I gotta bring that cinematic in there. So let's go open up the cinematic that I was working on here. And I would no longer have the camera. Okay, so I guess when he meant make the camera, he was referring to the camera being something I'm gonna make manually. There's our camera, and this is supposed to be called Fade Cam. Fade Cam Viewer. Now I'm gonna get rid of this one. One's from the sequencer event. Oh, come on, I just want to change the naming here. Alright, so we got the asset, and we can get the lighting working in a second. Here's our components. He wants me to add another component. Add a static mesh. Component, I assume. Oh. Add component button, add in a static mesh plane. What? Or does he mean add a static mesh and then make it plain? Alright, I'm going to make a static mesh, and we're going to decide it's a plane. Oh, goodness. Let's access the engine content. Static mesh plane. There we go. All right. Sarah's Blender is way easier to use. Blender 2.8 version really changed the game. Isn't there a Blender 2.9 or is that out yet? I don't know. Riz says, did you see my video? I did not see your video, and I know you asked me to watch your video and I did not see the video, so I'm sorry. And I'm not finding it for you, so this is not going well. I'm trying to find it here. I don't know where it is. I thought I could just find Riz animation on YouTube and I'd be able to find it. What do I have to do there? Sarah says, without a sky, it looks like a different planet. Yeah, it looks like a lunar surface or something. Martian surface. Okay, let's keep going with the tutorial here. Next, we repeat the step and name the second plane. Oh, we have to do 2 of them. What are we naming the first one? Cam render 1? Wow. Oh my goodness, is this crossfade just like 2 planes previewing the image? What's funny is he didn't mention anything in the webinar about how exactly this works, so it's as much of a surprise to me as it will be to you, I guess. Whether you're interested or not. Can I not rename this? Cam render 01? There we go. Alright, let's add another static mesh. Probably don't want to make that parented to it. And this one, cam render 02. And this also has to be a plane. Static mesh plane. So we have 2 static mesh planes in here that are all attached to the camera as components. The camera looks like a space probe. Blender is now on version 4.2.93 version, but everybody talks about 2.8 because it's changed Blender so much that it was like a whole different tool. That's true. So anything above 2.8. I was, who was I talking to or hearing about that? Talking about how Blender is really sort of an interesting thing. Oh, I was this is from Carl Schmidt actually, but it was like the whole it's the buzz about Blender is different than what we're usually seeing. Like it's just got this strange atmosphere of like people are really talking about it a lot and it's always showing up. So it feels like even though Blender's always been kind of stuck in this loop of like it's a software, it's good software, but it never actually catches on. We're in the last couple of years, we're really starting to hear about it enough and see enough about it that I feel like it's going to have some traction this time. Now, the only problem for me is that it goes in the wrong direction for what I want to solve, because I don't really want to go back to a third-party software. I want to solve my problems inside of a real-time engine. And Blender is kind of this still that third party that has to be like everything has to be converted back here again before I get it finished. So trying to reduce that third party pipeline is really the end goal. But of course I will have to learn Maya, but like everybody, I think Blender must be first one people must try before trying other ones. Well, it's free, so that really helps. And I think that's what's hurting Maya the most, is the fact that they've always been like, it's pretty easy to get a free version of, an educational version of Maya. And it was always like a go-to where you could like learn Maya, no costs. But now it's like you have to prove you're in an educational environment in order for you to actually get a copy of Maya legally anymore. And which removes that new generation of people learning how to use it. And it's going to make it really difficult for especially new studios to transition, because nobody knows how to use Maya, but everybody knows how to use Blender. And that's kind of how it works. And then eventually they go, like, I know how to solve this problem in Blender. I don't know how to do it in Maya. And then so Blender starts working its way into the pipeline. But it's not there yet. And I think that's where we keep coming back to, is the fact that everybody still uses Maya. Nobody uses Blender yet. But you never know. It might switch. Especially if there's something that really comes along that's important. Again, for the games industry, though, I feel like it's kind of heading in the wrong direction for what we need right now. Sarah says the fact that it's open source is really, should get to know it. Yeah, there's no cost to learn it. And because you already know Maya, Sarah, then your transition to Blender is going to be a lot faster. Like, you're going to be able to get a hang of it pretty quick. But it'll be frustrating nonetheless, because you're going to be like, where is this option? Why can't I do what I want to do? So, we're going back to my instructions here. We've got the two camera planes. In this sample, we'll be using a 21:9 7:3 film back aspect ratio. But you can use any film back settings for your project. The film back sensor size is in millimeters, and our scale is in Unreal units, which is centimeters. So we'll have to multiply our sensor size by a factor of 10 to get the right plane sizes. Once we set our film backs, we can select the camera plane components in our camera, adjust their X rotation to 90 and Z rotation to 90 so that the planes are facing the viewer. Next, adjust the X and scale to 2.1, 21 millimeters, and the Y to 0.9 millimeters to match the aspect ratio. We'll adjust the distance from the camera to a little later. For now, we'll do that later. Just set the X to whatever is between 10 and 500 so we can see the planes in the viewer. Alright. How do I look through the object? I forget how to do that here. There we go. So I gotta make the plane sizes match what we need. A few instructions here. Terceto says, Pixie, Sarah, ArtStation has a free courses until the end of the year. Really recommended. What's your email? Says Riz. What's my email? Oh, it's Simon Warwick at cgspectrum.com if you want to email me. So we got adjust the X rotation to 90 and adjust the, I'm surprised I can't see it yet. It must be too close to the camera. Goodness, what was it? The Z to 90 and the Y scale to 0.9. I'm not sure where he's getting these values from, but whatever. The Y to 0.9, which is like, what is that? So we're converting it, dividing it by 10, so 9. Okay, it's 0.9, fair enough. And then X is 2.1. Oops, that's not X. 2.1. So we'll do it again. 2.1, 0.9, 90, and 90. Alright, those planes should be sideways. Now the big change is I gotta move it away from the camera on the X by somewhere between 10 and 500. So position on the X, I should see this plane show up. There it is. Nice. Apparently that's the right aspect ratio. So we'll do 300. Grab this one, do 300. Whoa, they're two different looking sizes here. What? They're in different positions. Oh, I got a 20 over here. There we go. Now they're in the same place. All right. So we're making, I feel like what they're gonna do is just basically have an image, a video playing on a plane, and a video playing on a plane, and we're just changing the transparency of one plane to the other. I mean, I guess it works. I don't know. Seems a bit strange. Type it in the chat. It's literally my name. Oops. There you go. You can send me an email on my work email. But if you're trying to get information about the school, then I would use hello@cgspectrum.com. Okay, so we've got all the dimensions going. What was the next part? Next, we need to create two cameras for our scene capture components. We'll name these Capture Camera 1, Capture Camera 2, and then change both of their film back sensors to match the 21.9mm aspect ratio. Alright, I got that. Is he going to explain how to do it, or do I just have to do it right now? Then we have to add the scene component 2D. Alright, I think he just needs me to make it. So let's go back to perspective. Oh, how do I turn this off? Oh no. That's awkward. There we go. And I'm gonna make some more cameras. So we'll bring in this guy and this guy. And we're gonna label them. I'm gonna hit F2. That's the rename hotkey. Capture Cam 01. Capture Cam 02. And we're gonna change their film back sensors. So it's gonna be 21:9. 21:9. All right, there's our new aspect ratio. Then we can add a scene capture component 2D to each of them with the add component button. All right, we'll do this one first. So what are we adding? Scene capture component 2D? Wow, okay, I don't even know what this is. With add component button, and then name the scene capture component 2D SCC Cam 01. Oh no, it's supposed to be 2. I've got camera 2 here. So 2. I'll jump over to this one and do a scene capture component 2D SCC Cam 02. No, 01. There we go. Now they both have one. So like Cameras on cameras is what it looks like is happening right now. And then now we need to create some materials and textures to attach to those two scene capture components. Let's start with making a folder for everything. Okay, I assume you mean in the outliner. So we'll make a folder, call it crossfade mats. And in the crossfade mats folder, we need to create another folder for our textures. I don't know, maybe he's talking about the content browser now. Oh yeah, first let's right click on the content browser and create an asset. Alright, well, let's do it in the content browser then. So we'll make a new folder. Crossfade mats in there. New folder called textures. Oh, we're supposed to call it crossfade textures. Crossfade textures. I think we're going to do something kind of interesting because it's basically going to record the scene and display it as a material, which is going to be in front of the camera, I assume. And we'll use that to hold the render textures. Render textures, there you go. So we're going to start by make that in a moment, but first let's right click in the content browser and create the basic asset material called mCapture. Oh goodness, why is my phone ringing right now? My phone has this option to mute, but it is no longer working. I don't know why. Phone calls can break through my mute. It's really awkward. You're supposed to be staying quiet. Riz says, can I email you my YouTube video? Yes, that's what I assumed you're going to do, Riz. Go ahead. That way I don't have to look for it. And then I can watch it and I won't forget. So that next time I can give you some feedback. Textures, crossfade textures. Okay, so I gotta create this material. I don't know if I assume you just make it in the materials folder. We're gonna make a material. And did he call it anything yet? Call it mcam capture. This will serve as our master material for transmitting the render feed from the scene capture components. So let's double click inside this mcam capture material and start by getting it all set up. First, in the details panel, under the materials tab, we can change the blend mode to translucent. All right, so I'm going to select the mcam material, change this from opaque to translucent, and check on two-sided. Check. Now in the material editor, we see the results node cam capture. Huh? What? Now in the material editor, we will see the result node cam capture, and we will need to add in two parameters. What the heck are they talking about here? What is a result node? Is that what this is? It's not necessarily called cam capture, it's called m_cam capture. And we'll need to add two parameters. Oh my goodness, what is this all about? You can't add parameters, can you? I didn't know anything about that. The first is texture sample 2D parameters. Alright, maybe we're just talking about two parameters for texture 2D. So we're going to rename this What? Must have hit F1 by mistake. What were we supposed to call it? It was just telling me and I've lost track where it is. Render cam. And the second is a scalar parameter. And name it opacity. And set the default value to 1. We also can clamp the min and max of the slider in here. So max of 1, minimum of 0. Render cam will connect the RGB to the base color. And the RGBA to the emissive color. Oh, cool. Opacity as well, connected to the opacity, of course. And so that's how we control the crossfade. Now we need to make sure a few more adjustments, but first we need to create our textures in the crossfade textures folder. Let's save all this stuff here. Oh, I got all my engine content showing up here. Okay, crossfade textures. Sir Sato, I learned a bit about Unreal, but I don't really know what this means. Yeah, well, neither do I. I mean, what I'm about to find out hopefully by the end of the stream is how crossfade works. But it's mostly, I think what's the interesting takeaway is the fact that we can set a render to a texture, which will be kind of fun because you can come up with creative ways that you might want to. Security cameras as being one obvious one, where you can take your video footage from a camera in one part of your level and apply it to a texture that's assigned to something else. So that's kind of fun. But what we're doing here is we're going to do that, but we're going to like change the transparency of one to the other, which maybe once you figure out how that works, you can maybe think of some other cool things you can do. Maybe you can trigger it in game. Maybe we can have a character walk around and cause the... How's that gonna work though? I don't know. Maybe cause a crossfade between your players being in one spot and the other. Maybe you get like a point-click adventure style game where you just crossfade to another. I don't know. It's kind of a fun little thing that you can do. It's obviously working with elements of Unreal that are quite under the hood, not normally stuff you're doing when you're making textures or building things. But I guess the advantage is that I kind of have some familiarity in terms of what we're trying to do. So hopefully I'll be able to actually accomplish the goal, and then you can look at it and think, well, that was kind of cool, or I'll never need to know that again. But at least it connects the dots if somebody does talk about this. Like, oh yeah, we saw that before. And what I'm enjoying about it is that I was going to do this anyways offline, but I like how I'm doing it online with you guys, because then I can really share my experience of how easy it is to do, and the fact that this document here is exclusive just to schools that are linked with Epic. We're getting kind of something that you can't really just easily find out there. So hopefully I'm allowed to talk about it on a stream. I don't know. Nobody ever said I wasn't supposed to. But to be quite honest, it's so cryptic that I don't think anybody cares, because it's like, well, whatever. If you can do it, that's awesome. Riz says, please correct the email address before sending. Please correct the email address. No, I gave you the right one, man. You just have to make sure you spelled it the same, I think. There's nothing secret about it. That's my name at theschool.com. So that's about as clear cut as it gets. Unless there's some kind of filter or something, but I don't think anybody's ever not been able to email me before. Casey as well. Connected. Fade. Roll across fade. Oh, okay. Render cam will connect to RGB to the base color and RGB. Wait, did I do that one already? Now we need to create the textures. In the crossfade textures folder, let's right click under the materials and textures tab. Let's create a render target texture. Really? What does that mean? And how do I do that? Let's right click and under the materials and textures. Oh, okay. That sounds like something I can do. Ugh, I gotta get my documentation to be out of the way here. Materials and textures. We are looking for, what were we looking for again? Render target texture. That's got to be this, right? Render target. Texture render target. Texture target render. Texture. No, render target texture. Call it cam1. So this has got to be the material that we're going to assign to a camera, I assume. It's got to be, it's a very exclusive kind of texture object here. Now we need to assume that the size Y for our aspect ratio is 1080. But the size X will be varying depending on the film back sensor size. Since we want this to match our 21:9 aspect ratio, we need to make sure we set this to particular size X and to 250, 2050, 2050. Ugh, whatever it is. How do I do that? Am I supposed to do it in here? You can see a display. I don't know how I'm going to switch anything. Oh, here's some details. Here we go. Alright, size is X is 1080. And then the Y is the equivalent ratio to 1080. Oh no, wait, X is the bigger number, isn't it? 20, 50, 20. Oh goodness, this is huge. What is happening right now? That looks wrong. X is the bigger one? Oh, now we need to assume our Y for aspect ratio is 1080. Okay, I read it wrong. I'm like, that doesn't seem right. Why am I reading it like that and it's saying something else? Well, 2520 is the aspect ratio on the other element here. Texture target to the size of that. We'll use 20 megabytes if use scene capture, which may result in extremely poor service performance. I guess maybe what we hadn't tried, oh goodness, it looks really wide, is trying to render out the scene. I wonder if it would render out without like that glitch. Maybe this was, since it is sort of a virtual production pipeline, it's not really intended to be running at real time. So I never really tried that. I learned a bit about, oh, sorry, went back too far. I know you're using Unreal 4 right now, but I think for people who are not using for work-related stuff and just for fun, it's cool to try out 5. It's really beautiful what you can do with it. Yeah. I mean, Unreal 5 has some pretty interesting features that are a lot of fun to play with. But every time I go to these Unreal meetings, they always say, don't work in Unreal 5 yet. And don't rely on the tools to be the same when the full release comes. So, and their whole focus has been about setting up video game like for Fortnite. So it's not really centered around cinematography and cinematics. So a lot of the features that a lot of virtual production and cinematography are using are from 4.27, and but then there's obviously these missing features like nanite and lumens, which is in 5 that you can't access. But it really, like you just said in the beginning of your sentence, it's a fun tool to play with. All right, Riz, I will see if I can find your email. Probably, well, I can check right now. There you go, got it. So I'll take a look at it and give you some feedback. All right, so there's our crazy wide aspect ratio for our footage. No, we'll be getting a warning about this file size, and you have to match we'll have to match our frame height in pixels for rendering. Once we set up duplicate, we can duplicate it and Control W and name it Cam2. All right, save that, duplicate it, call it Cam2. I don't have to even name it. Then we can connect them to the texture target in the scene capture tab of the SCC camera capture component on each of the capture cams. What? Oh goodness, here we go. Then we can connect them to the texture target in the scene capture tab. Oh. Now, what are they referring to exactly? Like, here, is it this texture target? Is that what he's referring to? SCC cam capture modes of each cameras. Okay, so let's do the cam 01 render target. Oh, why is there 2 of them? That's so confusing. Oh, one of them is actually from the tutorial. This one's from the stream crossfade, and this one's from the courses. So I want to use my new ones, and this is, I'm using Capture Cam 1, so I'm putting in this fancy texture thing that we just made into there. And we go to this one, select our static mesh component. Oh, is that static? No, scene capture component. It's our fancy scene capture component. Boy, I'm already lost on my steps here. It's kind of embarrassing. So, because there's 2 elements I'm not really familiar with, both the scene capture component and the texture thing, which I forget what it's called already. Render target. Texture render target. So, it'll be interesting to see how they connect again. And we got 2 of them this time. Alright, so anyway, we've got that apart working. Then we can connect them to the scene texture of each of the texture cams. Note, we also want to change the field of view under the projection setting of our scene capture components. We can get this number by looking at the fade cam viewer and checking what the horizontal field of view number is. We can get pretty close for now, so let's change mine to 35. Alright, I'm going to assume these cameras, I guess is what we're trying to refer to as. These cameras have their own field of view. Which is like what is their focal length? Doesn't help that I can't actually see it. Let's just quickly do a test here. They all are very black. Let's grab this camera, play with the focal length. No, it's not focal length. That doesn't make sense. Here's our field of view option here. Scene settings, focus settings, film back. Oh, let's do a filter. Field of you. Oh. Use field of view from LOD. Focus length? No, I just did that one already. Ah, what is it called? Why can't I find it? Let's just quickly jump into a cinematic here. Is it aperture? No. Is focal length? What the heck? Alright. Well, apparently it is focal length. I'm just not getting any instant results from it. I guess I'm not actually looking through the camera. That was very distracting. Oh, okay, there we go. So we jump back to camera 01. Camera component. Look for the settings I was looking at 3 minutes ago. Not this, not this, not this. Focal length. We're not getting any previews here. That is really... Oh, I'm not looking through that camera, am I? My bad. Number one, here we go. There we go, now we're seeing some results here. Wow, what a crazy looking shot that is. Anyway, he put the number 30, what was it, 35? So let's make sure these two are 35. They were 35 by default. What the heck? Why did he spend all that time telling me? Change the number. Ugh. Hey, we got a new person here. Pinful? Hello, welcome. Thanks for joining us. We're just working away at trying to figure out how to get a crossfade cinematic working in Unreal, which is kind of shocking because crossfades in game engines are pretty weird and unusual. Unheard of almost. And this one's specifically for virtual production, so we're not, I guess we're not supposed to expect it to run in real time in terms of how it transitions, but I'm definitely going to try and do a render at the end if I can get to that stage and make sure and see what it looks like when you have a rendered out piece. Alright, so let's jump back into the capture master material. I'm reading this tutorial, by the way, so this is not me. I'm just reading a tutorial on the fly. Oh shoot, I lost where I was. There it is. Let's jump back into the capture cam master material and select the render cam node. Here we can assign cam 1 texture to the material expression, texture and base. Ugh, okay, here we go. Jump back to the cam capture master material. So we jump back to cam capture master material. Doesn't have much to it yet. And in the detail, and select the render cam node. Here we can assign the cam 1 texture to the material expression. So this is the cam 1 texture. So there's two of them. Again, this is one's from the Unreal course and the other one's the one I just created. So this is the texture, render target texture. Specifically, not the not just a regular texture. Alright, and what are we doing now? To the material base texture and the details so that we can jump back to the content browser, right click on the cam capture material, create a material instance, call it MI cam capture 1. Alright, here, let's do that. So we jump back out, we're going to grab this material, right click on it, create a material instance, and we'll properly label this with MI for our material instance, and then you can open up this one and you get a much more simplified view. Here we need to expose our parameters so just click on the opacity and render cam checkboxes. So we're going to enable those two parameters so that we can customize it. Although this is the capture 01, so and verify that the render cam texture is using cam 01. It is cam 01. Now that our materials and textures are set up, we need to make one more duplicate and apply the two materials to our plane components. We need to make one more duplicate. Oh yeah, of course. So go back to our master material, create another instance, label it again. MI, except for this time it's going to be 02. I was supposed to label the first one 01. 01. Alright, so then number 2, we're going to open it up, and now we're going to do a little bit different. Obviously, we must be doing a little bit different. Otherwise, what was the point of making 2 of them? And so the 02 capture changed the render cam to cam 1 to cam 2. Yes, that makes sense. There's cam 2 right there that we created already. And I guess we keep the opacity at 1. Kind of thought maybe we would switch one of them to 0, but I guess we'll be doing that later. Expose parameters. So now we can duplicate capture 1, capture 2, did that already. Now we can head back to the outliner, select our fade cam viewer. Fade cam viewer. And select each plane component and assign a MI capture component, cam capture 1 to the cam render 1. Select each plane component. So we've made these components inside of this camera object. It's 2, they're just planes in front of the camera as part of their components. And they're saying inside of these static mesh planes in front of our camera, we're gonna change the material, probably. Assign it the MI material instance component that we have. Oh, cam. So I gotta make sure I pick the right ones here. This is the stream one, so capture cam 1. So this is for render image plane number 1, and then this is for image plane number 2. So there's our capture cam number 2 that we just made, material instance. Okay, so those two planes now have the materials attached to them. Finally, hey, we're getting really close to the end of this tutorial. Adjust the X location of our plane components to fill the camera preview on the screen. Okay, so I guess they're saying you should be able to see correctly what you want to do right now. So here's our image. Move this into cinematic for a second. Or should I have? Maybe I shouldn't have. Now I'm a little bit confused. Basically, they want me to move the camera back to a certain amount. Have I changed camera fade viewer to have the right aspect ratio? I don't even know. Let's check the camera component. I forget if I have or not. 16 by 9. Okay, I haven't actually changed this yet. But I don't really get the choice to change it, so that's not good. Custom. Custom and then what? I've never done a custom one before. Oh, here it is. Come back. Alright, so we wanted 21, what was it, 21 millimeters by 9 millimeters. That was the aspect ratio. I kind of was hoping my scene would look a little different after I did that. Oh, I gotta switch it to my fade cam here. Alright, there we go. And then we got this crazy new aspect ratio, 21 by 9, for our cinematic view here. And so The important part is that I'm going to move the image planes back to a point where they fit around this frame perfectly, hopefully. So I'm going to move it. I move it. I move it. Oh, okay, what's going on here? That didn't work. Oh, I've got two image planes, right? So I'll move that one way back, and then I'll move this one back. Oh no, neither of them work. Let's turn it. Alright, I'm going to try some more experimenting here. Not sure why my X is not working very well here. Ah, see? It is there. So if I have this one picked and then I pick the viewport, it's actually picking camera 2. So the image plane is here. I'm just not seeing it very well. Let me go to unlit mode for a minute and see if that helps at all. See, now if I pick the screen, camera plane number 1 is closer, and that's because the numbers are lower. So obviously they must be here. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong, but somehow, for some reason, I can't see them. Let's go to default view. There they are, the two image planes. Oh, I got an idea. Let me switch back to cinematic. We're gonna look through that camera. Let's go to wireframe. There, see? Totally should be seeing stuff. Alright, let's grab the camera and play with this a little bit. There it is. So I picked 350. Seems to be just the right size, maybe a little bit too small, I'm not sure. But we'll do that one and this one 350. So they're both the exact same size, they fit that aspect ratio perfectly. And for whatever reason I can't see anything, so I don't know what that's all about, but at least we got that part working. Oh, he actually says this should be about 350 centimeters for this particular camera configuration, but the distance from the camera will vary depending on the aspect ratio you pick. Just pay attention, special attention to the y-axis border edge, and make sure that you fill the frame as closely as possible. If you can get within a range of 5, you can get pretty close to a perfect match with some quick value changes. Now, you can just drag the fade cam viewer into sequencer. The fade cam viewer into sequencer and expose cam 1 and cam 2 parameters. Alright, let's do this. It'll be kind of fun. So, we've already got a sequencer event made. Let's just pop back over to it. Did create this temporary camera, I'm going to get rid of that. And now we're going to grab this fade view camera, I'm going to drag that into our sequencer that we had sitting here doing nothing. So that we have it in our sequencer, and we're going to hopefully, uncover these. And this might be a real challenge here if he doesn't explain and I can't figure it out. Just drag the fade cam viewer into the sequencer and expose the cam 1 and cam 2 parameters. That would be the two components. No, they're called render cams. Oh, I wish I knew this part a little bit better than I do. Ah, here we go. So it's important that you pick the camera, not the camera component, so that I expose the camera 1 and the render cam 2. I assume that's what he's referring to. Funny how he's referred to it in the wrong naming convention, which is really complicated because you're like, you did name something Cam 01, but this is called Cam Render 01. So hopefully we're talking about the same thing, or else I'm wrong. Expose the opacity on Cam 1. Okay, well, you know what? If he's talking about opacity, then we definitely have a problem. So inside of this Cam Render 01, let's see if we can find the materials. Material element O switcher. Not sure what that means. See, the materials are assigned to these objects, so I assume that in order to get to them, you have to go through this. This really could have been done with some instructions. I don't know, I don't see anything. Try a different path. Camera component, scene component, static mesh component. Didn't say anything like that. We really got to get like somehow to the material, which are parameters, so they should be exposed. Maybe I'm in the wrong place. Just drag in the fade cam viewer. Oh, what if I just pick fade cam viewer? I take a look in the details panel here of those components. Come on. Alright, so here is the material that we're supposed to be looking for. But I feel like there's supposed to be a track so that we can key the opacity on and off. I'm not sure how this is going to work out. Expose the opacity on Cam 01 and keyframe that where you want the crossfade to take place. That's what he said. I guess what I can do is go take a look how that course did it and then feel that. Is there anywhere in here that we have like those variables? Okay, let's go cheat because I am really curious to know how to do this anyways. So we'll go to the courses. Try to find where they did all this stuff too. Huh. Oh, I'm getting stuck easy here. See if I can find this cam. I don't know what's going on here. Oh no, I just typed cam and it crashed. This is going great. Come on, crash. Don't crash. There we go. We've got two cams. One is in courses sequence 02, 05, this one, and then course topics, and then camera transitions, and then crossfades. And then we've got Shadow 1, Shadow 2, Shadow 3, material crossfades. Here's our material instances that we're talking about. So what I really want to do is take a look at this sequencer file so we can see how exactly they broke that down. Here's some capture cameras. Here's the fade view camera. There's our opacity from material element 0. Oh, that's all I had to do. Shoot, I was almost there. I just didn't realize material element 0 was going to be what I think it is. But that makes sense because that is, in a static mesh world, what the first material is. Which in this case, it's a static mesh plane. So there's not much to them. Like if I was to open up that asset, we have material slots, And this is element 0 material slot 4, which is basically the name of the first material slot for any static mesh. So that's what I'm looking for when I go to this the sequencer file and I say I want to create a track for, is it from the camera component? Gosh darn it, where did I get it from? Camera, oh, render cam element, here it is. Material parameters, element 0. Oh, material switchers. Okay, so this is what I want. Element 0. And then in here, I should be able to find opacity. There we go, because opacity is a scalar, which is just like a value of 0 to 1. The other one that is exposed inside of the material instance is a 2D texture, which is a, I think that would be something you'd be able to put inside of a sequencer file. So element 0, and then we'll put that opacity on there as well. In fact, I don't even know if we need 2 of them, we just need the 1. Oh, we should put both of them on there anyway so that I can see what I'm doing. Go to lit, and we'll make this 0, and we'll make this 0. Oh, I thought that was going to allow me to see the scene. Oh, you know what? Maybe the shots... No, I should be able to see the scene if their opacity is at 0. Alright. Make sure the opacity works here. Jump over to the material instance. I make this opacity 0. It does go disappear, right? Darn it. I've done everything right so far, but I'm not seeing anything. Capture Cam 1 and Capture Cam 2 can be added to the sequencer if you want them to be animated, or just position them strategically in your level. Alright. Apparently it's all supposed to be working right now. Maybe we do need to put some lights in our scene. So, we'll try that. We'll go back to our perspective. Ah, yeah, look, everything's super dark now. Okay, we gotta put some lights in our scene. Let's just do that. We will put... we'll go over to the environment light mixer. And we're gonna create a skylight. That didn't quite work. I need a directional light here. Let me create a sky atmosphere. Create some clouds. I think I gotta put this directional light in. I thought it was gonna come in automatically, but apparently not. So I'm gonna make a light. And now I gotta figure out how all this works. I think I'm missing something critical, like a sky sphere, like a sky sphere or something. But I'm not sure if I want to. There we go. So I guess I had to have my light made first. Now I've got 2 directional lights. What? I don't know. I don't know why I had to make a light and then I didn't have to make a light the second time. It was weird. I obviously don't have a very good sense of how this workflow goes. Still kind of feel like our lighting is pretty weird right now. We got a movable light source here. Movable light, movable, movable. Let's grab that directional light and see if it alters the environment. Where is it here? Yeah, it does seem to be affecting it. It is a very, very strong light source, though. Well, alright, let's worry about that in a minute. There's obviously things I'm supposed to be setting to make things look better, but I'm not very familiar with this stuff. Let's go to the cinematic. Alright, I can see something now. Now, let's turn on one of the render passes. There we go. I'm fading into the actual image of the other piece there. So, that one would be on. You could fade 3 different camera shots, really. And then halfway through, you would take this from a 0 state and then move it to a 1 state so that you crossfade between one camera and the other. I'm hoping that the reason why it doesn't look like anything right now is because they're both exactly the same cameras. So in his video he said you can add the 2 cameras if you want. These are the 2 cameras. Well, they do look like they have different camera shots, so not entirely sure why they didn't Alright, so camera 1, take over that camera. Let's adjust it so that it actually does something. Do a nice shot of grass. And then we'll take over the other camera and we'll do like a far away shot or something so that we can, maybe we'll do a road shot. Okay, so we got 2 shots. Oh, look at that. Look at the way that that grass doesn't come back. It's like, whoa, you moved really fast. I wasn't ready for that. Alright, so we'll go back to the main camera. And we will see that nothing changes, so that's not good. Minimize this and this. There's our elements of opacity. We go from a value of 0 to a value of 1, so that means the opacity should be showing up, and clearly it's not. That's not good. Kind of thought I would have seen it working. So if I make the material opacity of render cam 2 to the 0, it lets me see the shot of, which one is it? It's got to be this camera. Can't move this camera. Wonder why. Don't know. Don't remember that at all. So why is it that if this is at 1 or 0? Whoa, whose shot is this? Oh my goodness, what is happening right now? We've got camera 01. Even though I'm... Oh, here we go. Now I can move it. I wonder why I couldn't move it before. So I've basically got 3 camera shots. I'm going to look in the sky as my third one, so I know for sure I got which one's which. And then, again, the opacity goes up to 1. We fade to what should be camera shot number 1. Or sorry, camera number 2. And if I make this a value of 1, nothing happens. But if I make this a value of 0, then we get to see that one. Okay. So, for whatever reason, cam render 1 and cam render 2 have to be both. Or I guess really what's happening is camera 1 is always overriding camera number 2, even though they're in the same place. I guess that's just, I don't know if that's a drawing order or what, but I can have both of them set to 1, but if I want to turn off one of them, I have to make sure I pick the right one, because one is in front of the other ones. I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody, but it's just really confusing because you think that render cam 1 is on top of render cam 2, but it's not. It's render cam 2 is on top of render cam 1. So when I did it where I made the keys like this, it's actually backwards. I need this to be on all the time, and then this one, bottom one, would be the one that switches on. Or, yeah, switches off, I mean. Okay, so we are going to go from a 0 to a 1 state, and that is going to let the crossfade work. Yay! So we go from camera shot number 1, crossfade to camera shot number 2, which is the road view. And that's it. And then if you really wanted to, you could crossfade to shot number 3, which is our fade cam viewer, which probably is not a recommended workflow, but let's just do it for fun, because why not? So both, in this case, both of them have to go to 0. And I guess ironically what's happening is you're actually seeing a bit of all 3 cameras at once. Which is probably not what you want. You probably want like this camera to be off. So we'll turn the top one off, and then we'll start to fade bottom one out. Okay, there you go. I'm gonna do a render. Let's see what that looks like. See if it all works out okay. Save. Alright, let's do render queue. Render queue is... Oh, render queue is enabled. Yay. Oh, look, they got some sequences already in here. My sequences are so boring, they don't have cars and stuff. So, if we have enough time, we could do the tape recorder and do a car recording. Put that in there too, for fun. But let's just worry about trying to get the render queue in here. I need to find the sequence here. What did I call it? Probably called it exactly the same thing as he called it, because he told me to. Crossfade shot 1. So crossfade shot 1. The one that's from stream crossfade, that one. Alright, that's what we want. Let's go to our configuration, JPEG sequence. Can you do it as like a render as a video file, or do I have to do it? Alright, whatever. And then let's do a really simple anti-aliasing. Do like 8. And then we output it probably to the same place that it's currently at. And render local. See if it worked. Oh, I don't think I established which camera I was trying to. Oh, I shouldn't matter. No shot. What? What did I do wrong here? Got the sequence. Got the map. Why am I not getting this to work here? You open up sequencer and you preview it, we should be seeing everything's fine. Close sequencer. See this again, render local. Definitely rendering lots of frames of blackness. Crossfade shot of 1, shot, no shot, 1 of 1. What does this no shot mean? Oh, seriously? I don't have a camera assigned. Alright, here we go. Let's put fade camera viewer in here. How did I manage to like preview this and not notice anything wrong here? Whatever. Let's try it again. So, can we get that to work now? Alright, let's do it again. Crossfade shot of 1 from stream crossfade, and we still have no shot, but at least we have fade cam view in there. I don't know where that's coming from. JPEG sequence output. Let's put that anti-aliasing back in again for fun because we've got a crossfade. Except for we're only doing 8 sample count. And a JPEG sequence. Let's just do it and render local. Oh, come on! What? What else do you want from me? Fade cam. It does look a little weird. Like, why does it not have a preview of the images inside of this camera cuts track? Also, what's the deal with this crossfade not working? We're at 0 here. We're at 1 here. This is at 1, and this is at 1. This is the one that's dominating it, so it goes from 0 to 1. It's supposed to be dominating it. So, what? I'm not actually seeing the crossfade anymore. Something's changed again. Now all of a sudden, what? Is this top one now the dominant form here? Does seem to be. I feel like it just flipped. It's really complicated. I guess there's an argument to say that you should probably put your 2 camera layers just one in front of the other here. They're both at 350, but let's put one at 351. Or no, wait, this is, yeah, camera 2 at 351. So it's 1 centimeter behind the other one. Hopefully it doesn't like make it so that you can see a slight lip around the side. But now what it means is camera 1 should be in front of camera 2, which is a lot more intuitive. And then I can just drop keys here so that this is now going to be at a, well, it doesn't even matter. And that, I'm going to get rid of those ones. So we go from a value of 1. This will always be at a value of 1. And we get to a point where we're still at a value of 1. And then we go from here, we go from a value of 1 to hopefully a value of 0. 0. Okay, so then we got a nice disable, and then this is all confusing, so we're gonna keep it off. Let's just keep it off. And then what happens is we turn off, so camera 1 turns off, and then we see camera 2, and then camera 2 turns off, and then we see the actual raw field cam viewer. Yes, apparently. Or we can't actually do that yet. So what was the trick to get this to work, I wonder? Why is it that we keep rendering black? What I should do is do a little test to see if their course material will do a render as well. Because clearly... Hey, it worked this time. I just had to delete it and re-add it. Oh man, that was so lame. It was like... How would I have known I was supposed to delete it just to get it to work? That's so weird. Okay, so anyway, now we're seeing the thumbnails, so hopefully we're gonna get a better result here. Let's try it one more time. Cinematics, movie render queue. I think we should just be able to use this. Let's just render again. Let's see what happens. No. Okay, well, let's delete this. Create a new one again. Crossfade from stream. Make sure we save it. It's important. In fact, maybe it didn't work because I hadn't saved it yet, since it does refer probably to the raw asset. And then output. Let's just keep it really, really basic. We'll just do raw details and just make sure it works. Yeah, so it's not working. Even though I had a really good theory, I thought for sure I had it going. It is set to blueprints. Oh, darn it. That warning had been telling me this the whole time. So because I added it to levels, the whole landscape is not going to be visible. Although I don't think it would matter. You'd still be able to see the sky. Well, not necessarily if I was putting the sky into the... Yeah, I was. Okay. So this landscape level needed to be set so that it's always on, which you can do by just swapping this to always loaded instead of blueprint. Otherwise, I'd have to go to level blueprint and say, make sure you stream the level in. But this way, it should actually work. And I think just because I'm so confident that this is going to work, I'm going to re-put this anti-aliasing back in again. And we're going to render local. Yes! I'm not sure why we were able to see like a blue bar at the bottom. That makes me feel like we're rendering at an aspect ratio that isn't matching. Let's just take a look at this configuration again. Yeah, so that's not our correct resolution here. Sarah says, looking more like Outback with the sky, although it's mostly just blue sky, not many clouds there. Mind you, there has been some rain lately, so on the eastern side of Australia at least. That's true. There's been some rain over here too. What was it again? 1024 or 1080? 1080 by 20. Oh, I got the instructions right here. 2520. Okay, let's do it again. Render local. I guess you could take away the clouds. Oh man, that looked even crazier. I got my X and Y probably wrong. $25.20 and 1080. Render local. No, that didn't work either. What the heck? What am I doing wrong? That looks like overexposed too. Maybe my auto exposure is kicking in. Anyways, I'm just gonna have to leave it. I'm running out of time. And I want to see if this crossfade works or whatever. Sarah says, some cool photos of waterfalls at Ural Aries Rock. Oh no, you're gonna make fun of me with this. Uluru? This subsample is, I'm only at 26 frames. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of sampling rate because this is not gonna happen within our amount of time we have here. Plus, I just cranked the res up like crazy and it didn't even look right, so that's not cool. Let's just go back to default. And we're gonna turn the anti-aliasing off because that's actually gonna create that extra sample rate stuff. And I just wanna see how this transitions. So yeah, we're up a bunch more frames. Hopefully, we're gonna see something. Oh, here we go. There's some crossfading going on. Yeah, that looks pretty good. That actually crossfades nicely, and you can see there's a whole bunch more vegetation in there than it was for my scene I was rotating around in. It's like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then we should crossfade just to a sky shot. Hey, just like I said it would. Alright. It doesn't look too bad. I seem to have crossfade quite nicely. Sarah says, pronounced Oola-roo. 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 Okay. There you go. Kinda. Well, at least it's something. Better than my attempt of, I don't know what the heck I'm saying. Alright, I better wrap it up. I do have an intake. I got a color. It's class right now coming up next. So I really do have to kind of end it a bit quicker. But I appreciate everybody who was hanging out here. Let me see if I can awkwardly jump across to my other settings here. I have to do some stuff to get it to work here. Alright, so I'm gonna try and yeah, I'm gonna say hi to Boo. Yeah, hopefully she'll be there today. Oh, Ebon and Fear still here. Awesome. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, and thanks for everybody who were watching what we did today. Managed to successfully get to the end of it, which is pretty awesome. I'm gonna try and be back next week with some more stuff we can learn about. This was a pretty successful stream, so I'm happy that we got to get something that I was always trying to figure out how to do, and there's a few other things I want to learn how to do. So next week, if I can get back here, we're gonna get on that. All right, thanks a lot, everybody, and I will catch you all next time. Take care, everybody.